So this question was, when do you use what we call a repetitive imperfective, and when do you use a habitual? And that's a really good question. And we're looking at listening to something like, and if we go down, we're usually going to get, ach sa'ach. Like I listen to it regularly. That's, so for example, if I listen to the radio, like maybe I'll say, KTOO we achikuk sacha or chasa'ach. So chasa'ach. So this is sa'ach. So we would add cha in front of it, and that's I get it. So that means I listen to it on a regular basis. That's what I'm telling you is I listen to that radio station. If when I get into my car, every single time I will turn the KTOO radio station on, that would be the habitual one. So that's really saying, like, I listen to this more than everything else. And so that's kind of, the difference is, this is something I do on a regular basis. That's when you go for this repetitive imperfective. And whenever you see the U in front of something and the K at the end, that's some kind of repetitive imperfective form, right? You do a sock. It's pulled out of being in one of those forms. That's why the U is in front of it. So, but this is going to have a T or a K or an underline X for the repetitive suffix. The CH one means like every single time. Right, and so as far as which one to use, it kind of depends on the situation. What are you talking about? Like if I say sewing, yeah, I sew. Like sometimes I'll put a vest together, but if I sew every day because it's just a functioning part of my life, that's the habitual. The first one is just sort of, yeah, I do that now and then. That's more sort of repetitive imperfective, whereas I always do it. It's just part of my day-to-day routine.
Okay, now stop a second, because now I'm confused. So I was just about to ask, so does the repetitive imperfective need to have this other clause when I get in my car?
No, it doesn't have to have that.
So what does it mean then?
It just means I do that regularly. Like I listen to that thing, I read that.
Like a habitual then is like I really do it all the time?
It's part of my life.
Okay.
It's like every single day, this is probably something I'm gonna do. Like we know people who knit and who weave, and some people do it. Yeah, they'll do that now and then. Every now and then, I'll break this, so set up my loom, and I'll do some stuff. That's repetitive imperfective. My loom never comes down, and my loom goes everywhere I go. That's the habitual. That's where I sort of see the difference between the two. So if every single day you're listening to audiobooks, that would be the habitual. So what you're trying to tell people is sort of, at what level do you sort of tend to do things, right? Every time Seinfeld is on, I watch it. That's habitual.
Or read the newspaper.
Yeah, I read every single day. If it's some life routine, that's habitual.
So is whenever I get in my car, I listen to it, is that which?
That would be the habitual, like every single time I get in my car. So whenever you're getting into the sort of these, if best it's going to get one of these kuk or chakuk before it a lot of times too, all the time, every time type of a thing.
How do you spell those two, the chuck and the
Kuk is TL, high-toned A, KW, kuk. And then cha is CH apostrophe A, chakuk. So whenever you get chakuk to you, it's like all the time, it just happens all the time. Then you're gonna put a habitual in there. It's gonna want to have that habitual form once you have chakuk in there. Okay.
Did you have another question?
I already asked him
Oh, you did, okay. About how you
about the audio.
get the audio.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anybody else got questions?
Oh, I do have another one.
You said three.
And then spelling. I was at a meeting 2 weeks ago where there was this big discussion about Kuik and not calling a school celebration a Kuik because it's celebrating death. That was the quote of the person who said this. And over in Huna, they used to have, they've had a school Kuik every year for 28 years.
Mhm.
And they used to call it a celebration, and then a few years back, somebody said it was great, there was a kids' Kuik. And then they spelled it K_OO.E, high tone E, X pinch. And then it changed to K_U.E, high tone E, X pinch. So what's the difference between those two ku? Ku.
Yeah. So it's really common for folks to write vowels long that are often short. So one thing, if you go through the Story Nash dictionary, you'll see you'll see quite a few things. They're really good at catching the verb stem because the stem moves and you've got to figure out whether it's short or long. But then there's a lot of stuff where there would be stuff in the beginning like do, the fourth person pronoun should always be duh. It shouldn't go long, but they'll write it long quite a bit. And then there's other things that sometimes people will just write long because k and ku are sometimes hard to hear the difference between. But it should be ku'ig with one U period, high tone E, X apostrophe. And I've heard on the cultural discussion, I have heard that some people don't want it to be, other things to be called ku'ig, only ku'ig. But some of the old people that I talk to, like Seideya, Mary Anderson, and Shkateh, Jesse Johnny, and Qachtlain, Paul Jackson, they told me there used to be lots of ku'ig, because ku'ig means to invite people.
Right.
And what happens in a lot of indigenous places is missionaries will say, you can't have cultural celebrations all the time, you can have one. And then it just gets narrowed down to this one thing. So I was told there was one called Shawet Chaneku'ig, and that is a marriage ceremony. And then there was one that De Laguna wrote down that's called Dulchant Atchayi Ku'ig, which is the food next to her mouth, and that's when a young woman goes into seclusion, and when she comes out of seclusion, they used to have ku'ik with all of her favorite foods, and then they would just sort of share some things about life and what's going to come next. And then someone else told me they had siku ku'ik, where sometimes they would just say, let's have a party, let's get together. And so I do understand wanting things to be sacred, but I also see it as sometimes and I see this with the language too, where the language gets used in fewer and fewer and fewer places, and then it becomes this sacred thing that becomes almost too sacred for people to use. They get scared because everything is a ceremony, and everything is, you can't make mistakes because now everybody's going to get offended. And so we've had a number of discussions like this. And so, and I'm kind of flexible. I mean, you could say there's another verb, so you could say yaududzuhih, which would mean people made it into an event, a public event. And so there might be ways to construct things using this kind of a verb. But I also think ku'ik is, we're going to bring out our culture, we're going to follow these same sort of patterns. There was another one for, let me see, I'm going to have to look this one up. Oops.
Yetki Kuik for the children.
Yeah, adetki kuik, right? I think one thing that probably should start happening for clans is just hasan kuik. Just get names on people. There's too many people out there who don't have names. Uh, and I think that could make sure that um, we're able to make sure that people have Tlingit names. Uh, Here's another Hit Wushte Yedekitcht. This is the name for a house dedication ceremony. It means like we're gonna dance the joists of the house together. That's the way it was explained to me. So yeah, there are different. I would say Kuik should be on there, and I've always thought that we need to have some that are in the spring that are just celebrating, and we can certainly. I do think one thing that could benefit the language community would be for people to have a chance to stand up and say why they're hurt, why they're embarrassed, why they don't want to be there, or whatever, any kind of negative feelings you might have regarding the language. And then you also have a chance to let those go through a ceremonial act. And so that could be the thing that, because Ko'ik shows us how to stop the process of mourning and how to at least begin to emerge from it. It doesn't ever really stop, but we do have a method to say, okay, that's the real hard part. Now we're going to start to sort of pull out of this thing. And then we could do something similar for our language as well. But yeah, so, and then spelling it, you can help people with spelling if you want, and there's going to be stuff all over the place, and sometimes it's going to be kind of contentious and
Is there a specific term for the ceremony like the one in Douglas last year when you're raising a kutia?
yeah, that's a good question. We heard Wududzahan, so you'd say Kutia Wududzahan. People stood a totem pole up. And so Xiao Zanuk is another way to sort of to elevate it by the top, by the head of the thing. And so, and that has a specific process as well. And it's sort of, and it's fun because it could vary from place to place, situation to situation, where there's a number of certain things that could or should happen, and also the ways that funerals have been conducted. And so it's really neat to look at how this stuff used to happen and then how it does happen. But it took us a little while to get those terms to raise a totem pole. But Jeff has a lot of those written down, and then once we sort of reviewed his notes and we shared it with speakers, then they remembered right away.
And there's a lot of documentation in De Laguna and in Williams for the children's kuik, and it had to do with like ear piercing.
Wow.
And it was for everyone to cut you on. And then there's also a berry one that's mentioned, and it has photographs too, so it shows the boats coming in and their sails are up, and it's a celebration of really their food, the harvest of the berries.
Yeah. And one of the ideas we got from Hawaii was to find these things that your people used to do and then start doing them again and use that as a language thing. And if people are telling you you're doing it wrong, most people can't even remember how those things happen. I mean, you do your best and you certainly do a lot of coordination and say, okay, let's reconstruct this thing that we don't know how to do anymore. And they've done that in Hawaii with lots of things. So they have lots of ceremonies and things over there that they've had to reconstruct in some ways, and so that'd be wonderful. Yeah, I think berries, first harvests. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we could be doing, and in particular, if the language has this sort of focal point, then you might be able to bypass. There are people who have these very respected positions, but there are sometimes when it's tough to do things because there are certain groups and committees that will tell you you're always doing it wrong, but we just have to sort of power through, I think. Okay, any other questions? Thoughts?
Yeah, I was interested in the recordings of the 1981 Elders Conference, you mentioned that there's recordings of that. How do we access that?
Yeah. Uh,
Because I've read the narratives, it's in that book, because
Right.
I was Cherokee. And I have some recordings because some of my relatives they grew up with him.
uh
And so they have a lot of recordings of Charlie Joseph.
Oh, wow.
They were with the Gajaheen. They were there when that happened. And they're documented. And even the Downhars have it in the pictures that they have in some of their books. But I'd be interested in hearing this.
Okay. Give me a couple of weeks and I'll get them together and I'll put them up so that you can listen to them or download them. Because yeah, we have them.
I had a very specific question that you're going to be able to help me with right away, I think.
Ooh.
I was looking at the list of verbs in our verb cards,
Uh-huh.
and the one is a nay verb, and it's the na act verb transitive for S to do, perform O, a particular action, for S to work on O.
Okay.
So I found that one in the the Fairbanks, or the whatever.
The verb database.
Yes, that one. And when it got to the perfective form, like I work on it, I'm working on it, it says does not occur. Yea, aus, nay, preferred.
Uh-huh.
So then I thought, well, which one of the many nays is yea, aus, nay?
Same? It's the same, so you have this
Well,
nay.
there's 16 of them.
There's the doers, okay, well, we'll find it.
Okay, goodness change.
So there are some that like to work on it. Is this one you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So like where there's a perfective form or an imperfective form that's a little different than the perfective form. And this is what you've got with this. So yedachane is I'm working on it right now. That's often food or some sort of traditional sort of foods especially. But it could be anything. But it's one that they do associate a lot. But and so this is to be working on something, and you see here's imperfective, and then there's no perfective version of this verb. You have to actually use a different verb. And there's a similar one with chatin. You can say chuatin, and I've heard speakers say chuatin, but a lot of times it's going to switch to chuasatin. But they're kind of, the logic isn't totally the same for both of them. But this is one where just like da'ane, da'chine, da'chwane, I'm going to work on it, I am working on it. But to say I worked on it, you go to this one down here, which is sort of more like, it's to do it, but it's also to fix it.
Okay.
So this is the one that they're talking about for the perfective, and it'd be right here, yehusene. And that means I fixed it, I did the thing, I worked on it, and so depending on how you use it, and this sene, like yenasne, like the command form of this, could mean all kinds of things. It could be used, if I looked at someone, I said, and there's a bunch of dirty dishes, I might say, yes, that means do the dishes. When the dog yenasne, clean the table. Iti yenasne, clean your room. So it really means like fix it up too. So it depends on the kind of context. And then you could put yun in the place of yea, and that means I got it ready. I prepared it. I got it ready. So that it would all be the same here. So you could say yun. This would be a little different because it ends with a consonant. Yun hwasene. I got it prepared. I got it ready. I set the table. I did something to get it ready. Or so that's the da'ane one. But usually in the imperfective, and so we'll see for this one, there is no imperfective. Like if you're in the process of doing it, you will have to switch verbs and use this one. So this is the one we use also for dasaye da ine. What are you working on? Right? And so that's a phrase that we commonly use. Dachane, datune, datune. We're working on this. I'm working on that. But when you move it to the perfective, it's going to switch to the other verb.
And then there's the jisne, or what,
It would be a 0, so jechane.
for S to work, for S.
So this is generically to work. So it's like I'm gonna work later. Yijekwane, but you can also say I'm gonna work on it. Adataye yijekwane. And so as far as when you would use one, when you might use the other, some of the things that you might be talking about is maybe this has a little bit more to do with your occupation, but not all the time, because you might say, hey, you said you'd fix my car. When are you gonna fix my car? And I'd say, oh, saqanan adat yejikone. I'm gonna work on it tomorrow. But the one thing that you would say is that this has a lot more to do with your hands, because the j is built into there. And so this one also, in the third person imperfective, that also can be used as a noun. I could say, yejine kakwagut. I'm going to work, right? And you don't really need the day on there. You just say, yejine kakwagut, yejine kakwakuch. But they're all, the root is the same for all of these. And the root it really means to do something. But it could also mean for something to happen. Because if we also look at this, so we've got yejine, we've got ausane, we've got adane, and these are all related. And then we also have this other one for something to happen. And so ye atwune, that's what happened. Wasa atwune, what happened. Wasa atnanein. It says there's no imperfective, but I've heard it. Wasa atnanein. What's happening with you? Right? There were two old people who were talking to each other when they said it. They were being super cool. And then this one is also related to Heshwasakakwane. It's going to be okay. It could sort of mean nothing's going to happen, nothing bad's going to happen to you. And so that one gets used quite a bit, and it's a negative form of this verb. And then also related is Yange right? Are you ready? Yan uwane, is it ready? And ha uwane. But this shows you how one verb root can have all these dynamic sort of things going on. Classifier is changing because somebody's making it happen. We're adding some things in front of it because we're changing the meaning, right? Da is around, j is the hand. But yeah, this is the doer verb. Lots of doing with this one. Okay, any other questions?
So I was trying to say, how do you make fry bread? And I said au shayech, but I'm not sure if that's the right word, because I know that means to like construct it.
Right. Yeah, so that I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I would say, so you could say, and so usually I would recommend like a fourth person pronoun for these. So I would say, wasa wudutze'i, ich katsakne. How is fry bread cooked? But you could also say, wasa ye wudutzene. So there's that sene one. And that means just to fix it up, to prepare it, to make it. And if you look at stories going back to this, cause it to happen, to do that, when you look at storytelling, they'll use this especially this one, Yeaosane. They did it. They did that thing, right? And so here's the, Yeodudzene. Here's the fourth person. Wasa Yeodudzene. And then how do people do, and then you can have a bunch of different stuff maybe in there, right? But that's how the fourth person is used for things like that, like how do people do this thing? How do people smoke fish? How do people do the Yek Uti dance, right? Wasa duklech with Yek Uti, right? So the wasa is the how part, and then you've got some verb, often with the fourth person, and then maybe something specific after. So there's Yeodudzene. Another option would be it kind of depends on the question too. So here's cooking it. So we would also grab the fourth person. You could say wasadus I. I'd probably use that one. Wasadus I way. Ich katsaknein. Because if you were to ask, like, and that's just sort of saying, I don't know how to cook fry. How do people cook fry bread? Because you could also say wasa isai, and that's more like, what's your recipe? Right? You. I'm talking about you. Give me your secrets, and then we never hear from you again. Just kidding. Anything else?
Did you ask your question? Chutz uhu?
Well, I wanted to know how to ask my dialogue partner, are you here? And we talked about it and we decided that Gusu Way Bill would probably be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good way to say it?
On Zoom.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So gusu wa'eh would be like, where are you? So here's, right, so where are you? There was a time, so here's the short version of the long story. There were black bears in my garage, and it was dark, and when you open the door to go into the garage from the house, there's a bit of a gap between you and the light switch. Like you have to enter the garage and turn the lights on. So I opened the door and I said, "Ya kake Yuhan." And I didn't hear anything, so I went in and turned. So, "Ya kake what? Are you here?" Right. So Yadu is here and Gusu is where. So Yadu and Wadu can answer Gusu. Yadu doesn't really serve another. It's hard to. You can't really say, "Are you Yadu?" because it doesn't really work. It just has to be its own little thing, right? But Yah.
Could you explain that again? See that, what you just said?
Yes.
It has to be its own little thing.
Yes. So it's a suffix. So when we have suffixes about things being at a place, you have. Oops.
Be right here.
This is to be at a place, resting or residing, or located in a certain time. You can have the letter T, which means to have arrived somewhere. It arrived here. And you can have the letter underline X, which means it's moving around there or it keeps coming back. And you can also have this or w. And that means to be there, but it can't be attached to anything, right? So it can't be linked to a question. It can't be part of a verb phrase. It's just yadichat, neitluhu, shkuna oe achtla. That's the whole sentence. It can only be just that little short thing. It's kind of a interesting thing. We only really see it in the Gusu and then answering with yadu, wadu, heydu, yudu, netlu, shkunu, abu. That's about it. And so it's kind of it's a fun thing, but it's only used for that little thing. You can't use it and then tie a verb in there or tie a question to it.
Wasaway seek.
Wasaway seek? What's
About the bear.
Yeah.
Later, I'll tell you the story in Tlingit, but it wasn't in the garage. I was able to close the door, but they did drag the garbage cans out, and so I had to go chase them away. Adach away, haskach shikan. I shooed them away, very respectfully, and a little bit with some fear, but it was all right. Don't forget to close your garages. That's. Oh, and Bill has a question. Let's see.
Yeah. How do you make a verb into a noun? I was trying to make to read. I was trying to make a noun reading.
There's a couple of different ways that it happens. One is a fourth person imperfective. That's sometimes how it works. But it kind of depends on the verb. Some of them, just the third person imperfective, yejene, ashech, ashun. Those are all third person imperfectives and also nouns. But some of them did want to have the fourth person. I haven't actually given it a close look to see. It's a little bit of a case by case basis right now as far as what I know. But this, dutu, that would be for me. I would probably say dutuwu. I would probably say for reading. But when we sort of like, and how we know that too, is sometimes we'll say kuch is paper, book, a variety of different sort of things. But then we were like, well, how would you say like newspaper? And then let's say nik kuchu. So now it's a news paper, right? Literally. And then how would we say like a book? Like I'm reading Harry Potter, right? And they said dutu kuch. So it's a book that's read. So dutu would probably be the act of reading. Okay, and then Kachanes has a question. Shedehin yesh kachakts kautlayich tlewushtin udiki sitkuhin. What is the question specifically? Is it about, you just want me to take a look at that and make sure that it's matching to the English? I didn't hear anything. Can somebody online just say something, make sure that our audio is working?
Yadu Uhan,
Okay,
Chatsa.
okay. Tin,
Try it without my headphones. Does that make a difference?
yeah, what? Yeah, do.
Jachtje,
Ah,
Siltin.
yeah, what? Kind of cheese.
Mm.
Okay, Bill, what's your question?
But the question is it constructed properly as far as the syntax, Tlingit syntax is concerned?
Okay, sure. So, many eagles and ravens. Sit kuhin. I have a different name for Lemon Creek. But so then we've got together, I'd probably put Whoosh Teen first, and then to be flying to and fro, Yuhas Kautlayich would probably work. Yeah, so I'd probably just a little bit of word order stuff. The Daki part, if you want to put the Daki like they're flying very high, that could go in a variety of different places. But for the actual second part of the sentence, I'd probably say Whoosh teen you huskout the yeech, and then maybe say Daki to say up high. So that's what I would recommend as far as word order goes.
You husk cowdly each.
Yeah, so that was the U part has to do with to and fro. And then when you use cowdly each, and that should be a low tone for cowdly each, it has to have a hus before it because it's a plural version of emotion. So we got to have more than one thing there.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Echguthin, I think, is the name for the creek itself. But if it's that whole Lemon Creek area, it's a little. On the other side of the highway, it's Chukanani. Echguthin would be probably if you're coming towards the university from downtown, the right side, I think, is Echguthin, and the left side is Chukanani. So, okay. Any other questions? This is good stuff.
It is not on the left?
Salt.
Yeah.
If you're well, I guess it's on both sides.
But you're on Egan Drive, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, if you were on Egan Drive. But it starts to really sort of spill out into the ocean on the left side.
Oh, the creek.
Yeah, so it's the name of the creek itself. And then I would probably use it for the name of that whole area.
Yeah, and a cup.
Echguthin.
Oh, cool.
And the gut part is an upcurrent of warm water in a river. What do you call it? Like a geothermal something?
For upstairs, I've heard Shantu.
Mm-hmm.
What's the downstairs?
Yina.
Could you spell that?
Yeah. So we have upstairs is pretty fun because and this is one that I just mix them up all the time. So like I'll be upstairs with my kids, I'll be hit chan today nach tu an. They're like, we are upstairs. Day. So hit Dayina. I think. Let me check the tone mark. Oh, okay. Okay. You did cook. Oh, you guys can go first. Once we're ready. I'm starting to get some volunteers. And then I'll show you how this works, and then. Let me just try and find it. Deyina. So Deyi is down below. And then Na comes from Niya. And so you'll see a bunch, some variations of this, because it comes from this, and then so sometimes you'll see it as Yina, and sometimes you'll see it as Niya, and sometimes you'll just see it as Na, and sometimes you'll see it as Nya. And so it's a really interesting concept in Tlingit. It kind of means just in that area, but it could also mean a shield or an enemy. It's really interesting to just sort of think about. That's just kind of a Tlingit way of thinking. Like you see a boat coming, you're like, oh, boat. See two boats coming, you're like, war party, right? So let's just Tlingit mind that word. But this is, you'll see it in a bunch of things. Nanya Ayi is a clan. It's the upriver, the people that are upriver. Sanya is a place, it's southern area. Henya is a place, it's the area by the water. So, you can go Nanya, Henya, Sanya. And so you'll see Nya a lot. So Digina is in the downstairs vicinity. Okay. Yeah, I'll check the tone on that later. Anything else? Might be ready.
For the break?
Oh yeah, I guess so, huh? Maybe we'll take a 5-minute break, let everybody get ready, and then we'll start our midterm presentations. How exciting. How fun. We delay it anymore with some questions.
Oh, you figured it out.
Gan hawanate the cut you han guns cheese, clean away ye jini, kachwasach to ye ke, gaha you katungi dat ye jini. Tessach twash go ach kai chetli. Yawa, jach to us a go, Isachwa achi, to cut you han. Kastasa ayanach atutina wa hayuch atangi. A joy, ya wuchina ya wuttle yech, yuch atunk. Kach, kashatsini gawu aya. Ye awegach to senech, wasa atune hakach. To yuch atangi to nachaya, ye gach to glach, woosh tin. Ye awa, Chadasa aya kia aku. Yewa ach tuasagu yisaku ach tu klaqay kach. Wan qanins aya. Kash kadin aya kajit katakit chawa hayu katangi. Hatuasaku koa shiltidin yenachadin. Yenachada away yinach. Hajoy ach tuasagu yach sakayi away yigu aya chwan. Wan qanins Khedzia hakosti, Jana way jagachtune, hayukatangi dat. Woosh tin, Kash asayak quadlach, Kash woochak quadlach, Klaik wooch in aya yagachtutlach. Ye awa achtuasagu, Yisaku awa, Ichakakia kowe uhan. Hatuasagu kausagu ha inyen qati. Ajoy just kagachtu ak. Titla-antin, kakusachantin, wan qanins we qashishuqu at aya, qaqa qatil takat yuhan. Yak ye ide kakwaha, gau to hit. No more procrastinations. Yak anyanach tla, yide kuka, yid qawaha. Yak
Can you hear us? Okay. Should I go?
Oh wait.
Hang on.
We're getting a delay, like an echo amongst you all. If there is more than one device that's connected to the class, only one can have the audio on. That's going to be the trick. So let's see how you guys are doing now.
Can you hear us now?
Yes. And you're not in Yankee Stadium anymore.
That's good. Okay, and so actually there are 3 of us, so we have a trialogue for you. Okay.
All right. Kli isechange.
Achyet kunsa. Sakhani Ijis Ayanach Yadal Awa Wayel Sakhani Duk Asatini at Kag Ayanach Yadal Awa Wakit Sakhani Ashidi Kag Ayanach Yadal Awa Wayai Sakhani Adasegu Iti Kag
Wasa yi payat.
Pushtuya Was Kagitik Padakin Wayak Tash Ik Pasakhan Yanshuush Hinida
Atli, wasa at kakwane gwaith ha kodki awa nefte kakwasa in. Ha kais awa kodki. Kanach jin kwat, kanach kashtagay nach, anach ye chat kakaskit ka a. Kodki awa kakwatki ta.
Aqa Awa Akhtu Ke Kwanik Tash Ik Pasakhan Yanshuush Hinida
Wasa at gopane gwash khat awe ikinak adi qashtude qasanuk qashukshiyan itak tude qata I at qashti kwani tude.
Aqa Awa Khandek Panuk
Wasa at kakwane spinade kakwachit.
Aqa Akhsik Panach Khandek Panuk Tash Ik Pasakhan Yanshuush Hinida
Wasa at gopane gwash kutke qashi.
Aqa Awa Akhtut Kukwakhi Idat
Wasa at kakwane gwaith ke at kakashi kochin. Kakatuk tust kakwache.
Aqa Awa Akhtu Ke Kwanik Tash Ik Pasakhan Yanshuush Hinida
Wasa at gopane gwash janwuch khat kukhsati.
Aqa Awa Ye Khat Yakwajej
Wasa at kakwane gwaith tan kat kaksati.
Aqa Awa Ye Khat Yakwajej Khat Aye Gugank Khat Agukhladle
Wasa at gopane gwash hoots khat kukhsati. Qashtakat at ayanach kles khat tullaan. Qaach ukhta gani klen ya kanash itch. Qa is isa hit yid ayakhsinak aqa yiqach.
Aqa Awa Panach Ye Khat Yakwajej Kakanach Agukhladle Aye Su Hoots Atut Awa Wa'a Aya Wa'a Ekpasakhan Ekpasakhan Chatlach Pachatlech Ach Awa Achyatki Aya Wa'a Hooch Can, I don't know. Did I mute us again now? Did I mute us?
You guys didn't even hear a clap, got to clap again. Johan Gunchish. Get the cut Johan Yichakrovus, Yisikukeku Dachsoe has to Yukatungi. Atli Khatisachange.
I hope that if they wrote that down, would they be able to share it with us? So we could pull it apart and understand more of it. Yuhan? Undercut Yuhan, did you write that down?
Sorry, we switched our audio back.
Okay. Yeah, they said they can email it up.
Akunoshish.
Does anybody know where it comes from, what it was?
Sounded like a lot of animals were happening. Huts and Jinwu and
Love.
Kuk awe kutzeti wa adatki kuku.
a lot of wasas.
Atli Khatisachange. Gedu sakwe kuk. Okay. The mystery will be solved. Okay. Gunchi Shuhan Kahukecha. Kahuke. Let's see. Kashke Kadeoji. Yid Kukwaha Yidet. Yid Kuaha.
Hunda Kahidik, Zentikahinik, Fred Meyer.
Eske, Yake Sitini,
Yeti, Yakayak Sitini, Sir. Tlethosaku Zentikahinik, Iati. But the Wahat Kiatin.
Eske Hat, Kodikin, Achshach, Awe, Yuchan Yechat Yeti.
Khatsur, Achat Awa Duchan Yechat Yati.
Yeah,
Asatuk Awa.
Wasa, Nuk,
Kainafin, Dutuyak A. Isatku Wasa Yati.
Wasa Uti,
Yak A Awa. Wasa do a sak Tlingit Kainach.
Dech Sai Dujiu, Natla, Kashawat,
Ganochish. Deji, Dasawa Gaki U.
Ak, Tif, Achtatrank, Dies, Kupau, Waek,
Usk, Shakla Gay.
Aw.
Waek, Dasawek, Kakiu,
Put eight Ka, Hot, Wait, Akadli, yes, Akadli, yes, Kukau. Wasa Yikwayat, Yag, Ye Ikwati.
Naz, Tug, Yegi, Nete, Cook, Dakin, Sunday.
Nete Yaktlain, Kukwakuch, Sekanen. Iike yan uwaha, at Kadaki Hidide ach inge ituati.
Ach, Yanu, Ach, Twasiku, in Hogudi, K, Cook, A.
De yande yanain. A little later.
Kunach, A, Wook, A.
Kunach wuk A. Khatsaw hik. Idat ku tlet unatle gau Tlingit yuk atungi skoon. De ach inge ituati.
Activity in the Katka skunk ye cook ye has got to satin tini cook ade nach to cook.
Hoot
Atlain Gunchain. Yawa Hatzach to Asaku, Fred Meyer, Yich. Yuchagachitla Tlingit Kuna. Yuk Echa. Any responses, thoughts, questions? Okay, Kachonach Wuk Egan Chishuhan. Kadenye Gine. Itcha Stach Katil. Yidek Kwaha Yidet. And gay with it. Oh, you can.
Hello, I'm here.
Look.
Tlek unut.
Ah.
Okay. Yancha une.
Okay.
Dasa yisi I ni start.
Dasa,
Ishan kelkeat yicha.
a cachat aw dudligek a trawe, we doctored, wa equa. Dasa yisi inistat.
Ni start. Esk tlak askto. An esk ka in saknen. Idenawe at wutusaha. Wutuaha.
A kechawe. Actuasigu was a yim with to tad kawu at chayi.
As McDonald's Day wutuakoch.
Ach teach oe oostint. Decaf away achtana a chayu. Ye dak ye yausaka decaf away kiki dana.
Yeah.
Awutla way yandashan.
Ha
Yes. Yes, Achtenudin Atlifas. Yandashan u stage hunk.
Ah.
Idatawe ha eat koaha.
Ah. Ishan yandashan.
Ishan.
Tlak ask ge icha.
Ah,
Ich eet ge yak
it's snooked. Ah,
Kwacha.
I got to cook boy.
Tlak ask
Ah,
ach tlach oe. Yeo sene we tlak ask. Kak ach yaktat.
Uhansa.
Ide no ha. We do dat chank. Klech uchukt. Yeso.
Aye, awe do to wasigu at achaye.
A tlak a chanuch. We tlak ask. Chatsu ach chank yan. A chantas wade. Tuch. Adult ik at utle. Hast du tuasigu at
Ach to wasigu has do to wasigu we Tlingit at acha. We Tlingit at chaye at tachanke.
da soe icha ya yidat.
Sakne no way haha.
Esk gachtu sa.
Tle ka sakne.
Ah.
Ega yake.
Klnukti soknen.
Fin looked.
Ah. Udit tlach oe llingit at chai klech I chaq.
Ke ik kawanik.
Ha
We shut ishi ge kate yake.
Konach at tlach oe wutu chanuch. Yet kriach oe tu chanuch. He ach nawadi we. He she ach tlach oe u.
Eitsk. Jak datachke.
Ah. Yakutad dach. Tlak askto. Jaklakat ha llingit at chai oe. Yukdadach.
Hahunkian Hajitas awawu adchaye kapahaha. Which
Wukecha. Goodness cheese lane. Wuke. Katinawe kaishekito yukatungi. Yukecha. Yuke. How? Yet that's a kaudutli. Cake. One canines way allergies. Yacheti. So. A cat say will cook. Wasa you did the kaka. Wait. Yuke. Goodness cheese. Thoughts, questions, comments? Okay. Wuke. Wukecha. Goodness cheese.
Tish
ETA. Hoots uchukat tachanes. Oh, ye awe achin. Klitza. Oh, sit kuhin. Oh, yeah. Kwashi sit kuhin. Titlini. Ye awe. Chat talk. Ye awe. Die. Oh, chat talk. Ye awe. Kwashwe die pack. Titlini. What? Chat. Kwash. Chat katachitiye. The salmon breeding place, maybe? But it could also just be Tichini, what? The mouth of the creek, mouth of the Dog Salmon River. Tichini, what? I could share the one that you sent, or you could share yours. Whichever one you want.
So I still didn't know for sure how we should say DIPAC though.
Oh,
TC,
I'd say Tichini, what? Because in that
TC,
it's at where that Dog Salmon River goes out into the ocean.
it's where it goes into Gaston Channel.
Yeah, I'd call it Tichini, what? But if you wanted to name the actual place, I'd probably say Chat Gatachit Ye, which I could put on the screen for you. I'll put that one up there for you. Hold on a sec. Chat Gatachit Ye. So Gatachit is for animals, especially to multiply or to breed. That's probably what you call it. But I'll see if I'll run it by some folks, see what they think. So that when we're naming places, as you learn more about Tlingit, these two things, and ye, kind of frame what's going on. And so would mean there. This is the same that you see in things like day and at and and abu. So it can take on suffixes and its shape changes a little bit. But then on its own, especially if it pops up before some kind of verb and then there's the yeah, it just likes to have it there. Yeah, when it's used like this, means the place. So it could be any verb, would be the place where that verb happened, right? But then if we're going to make it into a place name, for example, especially like these big raven stories, like they'd say, Wugudiye, the place where Raven walked, right? Or it would just be probably Wugudiye. When you put the and then then you usually have some verb in an imperfective form, often with the fourth person pronoun, and that's how you build names for things. That's one way to do it. So for example, they'll say, maybe the chat goes outside. So they said, Adetki a Tini Ye. That's the name that the elders in Carcross came up with for a daycare or a preschool. Adetki a Tini Ye, the place where children are looked after. So maybe we'll move the chat to the outside. Chat a yeah. Maybe that works better. And then you don't have a fourth person pronoun here because not people. You don't really talk about people multiplying and breeding. You talk about that's really for animals. And so in this case, it's a chat akatachitye will be the place where the salmon multiply.
People have good breeding.
Right? And I don't know if that would be, I'm sure you could say that, like they moved there and they became many. And we were going to use this for multiplication, right? Mice as an example, right? 2 mice go in, one come out. Okay, I could share my screen, or you could, whichever one you want.
Okay. Let's see if I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm having, and Bob's ready?
Nuane. Oh, I guess, gee, I don't know why that thing was on here.
Yadu Chat.
Share screen. Oh, this is fun.
Oh, it's working. To the team.
Can you make it?
Yan hat uane.
Okay.
Wasa Yitin Yi Yagi Yi.
Sayadahin yesh kachak se klewustin yuhas karlayich de kin chak hini.
Wasa Ye Jiane Yi Yagi Yi.
Ye jene kwasakuk ye jiwane is sadakat jigi nesh kwakuk wa ekua.
Hanastak Yida Chalitin. As Ye Ke Woodlit Yet.
Wasa iyati
Tesh Wasa Wa Ek Ua.
ushugu
Ungao Saya.
klesh kwasaku shakte dakadushu ga gusu wa
Este.
gusu inesh.
Shan Ach Katyati Ua Ankade Achi Jiwane. Gusu Ye Da Ine.
Hot tos chas katis.
Iit Ge Yan Uaha. Gath Itinach Ge Iati.
Klik kahak itina yati.
Gandaga gugu awe. Yisitin age.
Chosatin at Wudikin.
Dasa ye da ine.
At Yatki Satini Hat Yatki Yahaya. Ade Hat Yatki Duji Yes Hit Ayi Kukwajagit. Hat Yatki Hat Ayawaya. Hat Yatki Hinyik Yidat. Echte has Guga Yagan. Dasa Iha.
Sakhunain ha. Wae kua.
Kunt at Ha. Kakwat Su.
Gusu ine.
Agnes Tahink Hat Woody Wet. Han Ach Hat Wustish. Neste Tukinde Aktuati. Kua Agnes Kuhink Yidat. Hut Jagen.
Tiagin.
Masa. Uk echa kunis chishuhan. Ek echa we.
I'm lost. Stop share. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, we. Uk echa. So let me share one tip with Word or PowerPoint or stuff. If you guys are using these to share your work, and it's going to be probably a little different depending on whether you're using a Mac or a PC. But you can usually find the preferences or settings somewhere, and then under spelling, you can turn off this option that says check spelling as you type, and that will get rid of those red squiggly lines for the Tlingit, because those squiggly lines it will make it a little bit harder to read. So that's a trick, and it's in the same location for like PowerPoint and other things. So if you're a typoist professional like myself, then you probably want to turn that on at other times or do a manual spell check. But if you're working in Tlingit regularly, you're going to have to just disable spell checks, the live ones, or else it'll drive you a little nuts to see those squigglies all the time.
I've clicked on the one that says add to my dictionary.
You can go through and add them. And we saw a presentation in December that talked about how to create your own dictionaries for like Word and stuff. And some of us did have some feedback though that are you going to enter like every variation of the verb? Is that, and so, but you can certainly do that, and so that it does know the words that you're using, and you can teach it. Like my phone, it's kind of fun. Sometimes I'll text somebody and my phone will switch the Tlingit words, and I'm like, "Oh, you think you're so smart? That's not what I was trying to say, but that's pretty cool." But sometimes it's right too. So, and you can also do if you're using a phone or something, you can do some autocorrect things that you enter manually. So if I ever type KAJ, it's going to change it to Kaja, our son's name, all the time. And if I type IXS, it's going to change it to Ichsachen with the underlined character. So there are some shortcuts that you can put into your devices that make it a little bit easier to type in Tlingit. Okay, Yakecha. Okay, that's our power of four, but we've got 20 more minutes. Who is ready? Nobody's ready.
Do little readings or something.
And we'll have to do something different.
Sing some songs.
What's that?
Yeah, we could
Sing
sing.
some songs.
Oh. What song would we sing?
Something with words we can talk about.
Gaudan Ishan.
John Gaudan.
Gaudan. We could go through some more. Let's see.
Oh yeah, we haven't done any of that in a while.
We're not going to get to the end by ourselves, I don't think.
Take a look at that.
Oh, Senator Murkowski, du nadashi yuchad ausika Dana National Endowment for the Humanities Dach
Oh, okay. Quaaq.
Yatuad Lak Gasa Wush Inaya Yukatudli
Oh, okay.
Ande Ashagoch Lahik.
Oh. Tachunachik A.
Who is this?
Murkowski. Okay. That's fantastic.
Nadashi.
Essa?
Senator Murkowski do nadashi.
Yeah, well.
So I said, Senator, I got a call from Washington, D.C., and I don't know who it is, and I almost didn't answer anymore. Yes. Is this Alice Stafford? Yes.
What do you want?
Yeah, who's calling?
Take me off your list.
Well, I'm calling from Senator Murkowski's office. Oh, this is, somebody else, an aide, and she was calling to let us know that we had gotten a grant for finishing the Tlingit conversation.
Woo-hoo. Congratulations.
Okay. Khatuane.
And Gunashchish.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so where we left off in this story, Qadda, we're correcting some things as we go along, which was kind of fun. I didn't realize there's a few things to fix here and there, so translation is forever. Okay. So now we get the line, Aya'a ashkushet auktatsin.
What page is that?
This is page 2. Dech. Dach'a. Ya du'a'ach tuasaku yi'in kachwaniki. Ya hashukwa yadi. Ye awekwal kle ye kakhosti ye. Du shukwa sa'iach tuasaku Tlingit. Ye awek kachshachit. Wait, ya a kach. Kakoe. Desaye kwati kaja. Shawatake. Desaye kwati. Kasechja. Ye awe de shukwa sai. Ye awe shawata achawe kasechja iti a karkiz. Yahad dakh a yadi ayako a kone yeka kwasti. Ya shat kakwawus. Achtu asagu du yatka kwasa dakh a hoko a tlaik. Konach tlaik. Ako an keka asai ayadu yet awasa shkate shawatke. So when our first baby was going to be born, I had 2 names picked out that were just going to be nicknames. The first one, if it was a boy, is going to be Khadja. If it was a girl, is going to be Kasechja. And it was a girl, and she was Kasechja. And then later got the name Khalqiz. Then we're going to have a second one. I said, I want to name her, or it, we didn't know if it was a boy or girl. So I was going to call it Dakh'a, which would be the second one. My application was denied. And it was a girl, and she already had a name because there was a name picked out for her as a girl, which is Shoatke. Just a funny story. Okay. Aya a ashkuchet auktatsin. How do we interpret this line?
He was playing there. Auktatsi.
He was, yes. Aya a ashkuchet. He was playing there. Oops. It's going to move around a little bit. And his name is Auktatsin. Okay. Anybody want to read this line? Let me zoom in.
So long.
Aya ausatini chad at satan.
Our thought it was, he saw a salmon and we weren't sure if Satan was laying there.
Yes, at satan. That should probably be like this. He saw a dead salmon laying there. And so there's a number of these motion verbs, these handling verbs. Achjit sata, right? Achjit, whatever. There's a bunch of them. And they have these other forms where it's at, and then sometimes just a slightly different form. At-satan. And at-satan means for some thing to be laying there. And if a fish is laying there, it's dead, right? Because fish don't just lay there. Right? And it's kind of so there's a place pretty, well, we can see it if we go around the road. Kach satanjin. Satan is built into that name. So your arm could be just kind of laying there. Satan. Achjin. A stick-like thing could be just kind of laying there. So it's kind of a stick-like type of thing is what we have. And so, an ausatini, so he saw it. And so the ausatini it's really interesting to have the I on there. You could sort of interpret that as when he saw it, or he was playing there and then he saw it. You might tie them together. Sometimes you'll catch speakers just putting the suffix on there, just because there's kind of two verbs in proximity, so one of them tends to get a suffix. It's just kind of a case-by-case thing, but sometimes it's really tying the two verbs together. Sometimes it's like when he saw it, or when he saw it, it was just there. And it's probably tying it to what he does coming up here. Ya nashuwan.
I'm playing.
Maggie.
Maggie.
Yeah.
Getting maggots.
It's getting maggots. It's getting maggoty, right? So there's a few things that sort of make this kind of transition. Woon is maggots. Well, for some old speakers, it's also rice. Not everybody likes to say woon for rice. My uncle did. And then when we go to the verb form, it's changing to the letter A. And this is not the only one that does it. Whoosh is a whole, and wash is the verb root for being holy, right? So a holy macro, right? So you put that together if you wanted to, but it would be washi, right? And then we have ya, and so here's another low tone. So I'm going through. So ya nashuwan, it's getting it's in this process of getting maggoty. And let me just check something here. Let's go find this verb. So here's our verb dictionary. I'm going to go to the W's. Oops. Go down to
One. Ah, there it is.
so it's gle.
It's so dark I can't see what those.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I shouldn't highlight it.
Okay, gle.
So here's the gle, maggoty, full of worms, of meat, or fish. So I'm thinking about this letter U right here and whether that is an actual letter. It might be. I would expect Yanashwan. That's what I would expect to hear. So I'm going to open the recording. We're going to check out Kashkawu. Oops. Let's find it. Okay. Now let me stop this share for a second. I'll reshare it and I'll share the audio as well.
Yeah, Nasruan. Yeah, Nasruan.
You might hear a bit of a U in there. I'm going to say
Yeah.
I'm going to chalk it up to the transition between the L and the W. Yanashwan is how that is getting maggoty. So there's a couple of things. When we look up a verb and we find it and we say gle wan, and then we might go, we'll go look it up in English and we'll see if we can figure out a couple more things about this verb and how it works. Woodley wan. So there's Woodley one. So here's a case where this would be WU instead of WOO. They just had a tendency of writing some things long that don't really need to be long. But the other thing that we could tell about this Woodley one, well, there might be some things. We'll have to look at some other versions of this verb. And I don't know if Akishawo has this one in her list. Let's go check it out. I don't see it, so the maggots didn't make it into, they didn't make the cut. But one thing we can predict is if it's in the perfective, closed, and we look at it here, it's short and high, our guess should be the conjugation type is 0. 0 perfectives that are closed are short and high. So we also know it's a gle is the classifier group, D plus L. So whenever we have what we call a progressive imperfective starting to get that way, we're going to get often ya in front of it. It might be K or yay. And then we're going to get the na part in there. And the classifier is going to be the minus I version. So a plus D minus I is just the letter L. Yanatwan. That's what we should predict for the form. And so we'll learn how to put these things together ourselves too. It's like, oh, it's these types of things, these types of things. For a progressive imperfective, it's usually short and half. Okay. Because yanakut, etc. Okay. At would you hear?
Ran to it.
He ran to it.
Icky. Ew. Yuck.
Yuck. Ye a kauchetzech.
He kicked it.
Yes. I'm going to change that to low tone. And as far as our translation, there's some interesting things that are going on here. So if we look up this verb, sech, we're going to look up this verb. And so we see this, it is kind of, there's a form that we want to find that has the ka on there, right? So if we go back to how it's shown to us, a cow shetzech. So there's a couple of things we're looking for. We're looking for the ka on the front. We're looking for the L classifier. And so let's go find that and see if that changes the meaning at all. So here's tzech, and then trample on, right? So we get a slightly different interpretation. Then we can go look in. So these are the things. So once we see that tzech, we might recognize that as kicking or stamping, but then we got to just sort of look around a little bit. And so we'll go look up trample and see what we can find. Because the other thing that we can do is once we've looked it up in here, if we want to sort of, and so we see kauchletzech, I trampled on clothes in the water to get them clean. And so another thing we might do, if we want to take a deeper dive with a particular verb, is we can look up in Jeff Lear's verb list and just see what he has, because he might have even some other examples, because what's the yay doing in front of it? And those are some things we might kind of start thinking about. So we'll go find it in here as well. So here's se. We'll go up. Sa. Oh. This doesn't.
I thought I saw it.
Yeah.
Down below.
Yeah.
This the bottom of the current page. Yeah, right. Up. I saw it kick.
Yeah.
Well, he had sech. But I think that's
Yeah.
different. That's strangle.
No.
Oh, here it is. So it's under. So when you're looking in this, if it's not under ei, sech, seich, look under ee, sich. There are plenty of verb roots that it's going to be a for northern speakers, e for southern speakers, and for Teslan speakers. So now we got a tzech is kicking it, a tzech kicked it, a yaushetzecha kicked at it and missed. Oops. A kaushetzech kicked it like a motion. Duchus shuyach a kaushetzech sprained his ankle, rode a bicycle, is kicking. So here we do have like a kicking emotion, right? So now we've got a couple of different interpretations. So when it says motion, that means not just to kick it, but to kick it along, right? To put it into motion. Whereas here we've got trampling. So when I look at this verb and I see the yay in front of it, that means downward. So he goes down, he's down by the water already. He sees the salmon, it's maggoty, and he says, gross, yuck. Yay akal. I would say he kicked it down the beach. But, and so there's a number of different ways to, when we don't have cereal anymore to ask. And so there could be multiple it could be he stomped. It wouldn't probably be like stomping on it because you'd probably get like, if it was repeatedly sort of doing it. But I don't think that's what the story was necessarily getting at. Okay. Okay. Ach, ya nashich aya, tukede uwaat yaku.
This took a lot of group think.
What's that?
This took a lot of group think and zooming.
Group thought and some zoom.
So we had, he is running.
Yeah, so Yanashik, he is in the process of running.
And then
What is this ach business though?
From that place.
From, right? So remember we looked at this other thing up here where we had, where do I have it? Oh, here it is. So this looks like this. It can become de, at, ach, abu, or abu, ach. It could be a dach, but a lot of times it's ach. So that ach is away from it. So he is running away from it. Duke de uwa at yaku.
we found, do you want to say it?
Oh, just some people at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Then we found Dugadi or Gadi is wrong. Something, and so we think it was he did something wrong against the people.
Yeah, so
Or
this
he
is
shamed the people or
Violated.
violated
The
some
taboo.
rules or taboo.
right. So there's some really interesting. So this here's another thing that takes suffixes, right? We learn how to spot these things. Once we see the day on there, that one can be gate, right? A gate would git literally means it fell on it or against it, but a gate would git means he or she broke the law. They violated something. It's or they're up to some shenanigans. It kind of depends on the context and also how someone is saying it. But if you said, Wush gate has with the art, they met up with each other. So it could mean that as well. It's just, it depends on context. And a lot of it depends on what the verb is. Wudzigit means to fall, but it also could mean like some tomfoolery is going on. And same with running, right? They say, Wushgede ayanaskich. Wushgede hasayanaskich. They're fooling around, right? And that's the type of fooling around that you're not supposed, it's the type of thing that you're not supposed to do. So, but in this case, dugede uwa'at yaku'u. And it kind of, you can interpret this. You have a role as a translator. And sometimes you might work with that speaker to say, because that could mean he met up with these people. But it could also mean he offended these people. It just depends on how it's being put together. So, let's say this. He's running away from it, and he encounters the people he offended. Maybe. Like, we'll just, we could. In the context of the story, he's just done something wrong, right? We know this. And so this is where the cultural information also informs the story. Once someone kicks, we're at the beginning of the story, he kicks that salmon. And so they're showing the Edge of the Knife film, and that's going, I think, tonight, and it's at the Gold Town. I'm not sure how many nights it's there. It played the other night. There is a scene at the beginning where the gate would the gitwe ha. And if you watch that movie, and these stories are really interesting because somebody does something which they'll say, Joe Hodge said it like this. He said, without your language, your life is going to spin out of control. So they'll say, it's going to spin out of control. And when we have Tlingit stories, it's not every time, but there are sets of stories where there's this thing that happens, and that was the thing. And then shortly after, something is coming, right? There's some kind of thing that's headed your way. The words that we use for this is tlhagas. Tlhagas means the thing you're not supposed to do. And there's a whole bunch of things that fall under this category. It's a really interesting thing in Tlingit. Looking at a whale tail as it goes down, laughing at an animal, kicking salmon. There's a bunch of these things where there's something bad that's going to come. And then that's called jinaha. Jinaha is this energy that's coming your way because you've violated these rules. So with that, we'll wrap it up.
So we're not supposed to look at whales' tails when they go in the...
That's what I was told. They'll take your vision down.
How about just when they're like going along?
Oh, yeah, that's probably all right.
That's okay.
Okay. Just, I don't know.
If you don't know, it's going to come back up.
Said when their tails would come up, their mom would cover their eyes.
Yeah. Huh.
And there's a bunch of stuff like that in Tlingit. And then there's other things too, which are sort of when you see a killer whale, you put tobacco in the water and you say "Akheit aiwu, akheit aiwu," which means send it to my mouth, but it's usually interpreted as give me good fortune. So there's a bunch of things like that too. That there's language that goes along with it, and then there's concepts that go with it. Okay, so we'll keep doing more of this. We got the rest of your dialogues. We can do let's delay it a little longer, Q&A at the beginning. And we'll finish, if we don't finish Thursday, we've also got next Tuesday. Maybe.
Looks like Edge of the...
Okay, I'll let you know Thursday what's going on next week. Might be out of town. Okay, Cheesh. Good job. Okay.
Hartlinken cheese.
Bye.
I might be out of town.
Mine.
Fish.